There we go. Hey there, strangers. It's time for another 2 p.m. PST Twitch stream. I'm your host, Strangebird Jim, and today we're going to be doing a little different, something different today. So normally today would be my coding stream where I continue working on GGG. If you don't know what that is, I started working on it some time ago, and I'm still working on it. But the um, um, but things are getting a little rough right at the moment at work, and I need to dedicate a lot of time to studying for the material that I have. Um, a lot of the core concepts aren't as front and center anymore in my mind, and unfortunately, um, it hasn't been. It's I want to make sure that I don't lose this job at all. So I'm going to do as much as I can to make sure that I survive. So, that being said, well, there's a list of questions that I'm going to be going through today, and I'm basically going to be repeating it over and over and over again. So it's probably going to be fairly boring for a good majority of you. So apologies on that. Um, but I need to make sure that it's locked in my memory. Obviously, a lot of this stuff I've already covered. Problem is that um, being able to actually state it outright to another individual is going to be um, has kind of caused problems for me in the past, and I don't want to have that kind of problematic, those kind of problems this upcoming week. I want to be able to, if my trainer basically says, hey, uh, here's a question, you know, I want to make sure that I can answer it promptly without any hesitation and, um, answer it correctly, obviously. So it's going to be a major review session for me, especially when it comes to the Java. Um, the SQL questions that I have, he gave us a list of questions to kind of go over and review and the like. So I'll be kind of working through that entire list, Java questions and SQL questions today, or at least attempt a good majority of them. Um, I'll be working on the SQL questions first because I didn't have any kind of like formal background with SQL prior. Um, so we're going to be tackling that or tackling all the questions that he posted on there and trying to remember everything um, that I'm going to need to be stating on those questions. And then we'll be going on to the Java questions. Uh, but before we go into that, I just want to remind everybody that I do have a Twitch team available down below on my Twitch page. Um, the application link is down there. It has a Google document link on the application page that talks all about the stream team. So it's meant to be a pay it forward team, helping out everybody that's there, um, and it's uh, everybody is available to join, whether you're uh, a streamer or not. Um, any kind of help is welcome on the team. So feel free to check that out if you like. Um, if you have any kind of questions, feel free to post them there in the chat or go to my Discord or Twitter and basically ask the questions there. So, but that's where we're gonna go ahead and let's go ahead and get this live for everybody. Okay, so um, the as you can see, I have a fair amount of questions to go through and make sure that I have everything memorized for Java here, but we also have the SQL questions. So, um, and I'm gonna really be kind of repeating myself quite a bit over this. So you're gonna have to kind of forgive me on this because, like I said, it's not gonna be the best. It's not gonna be. Uh, it might not be fun for a good majority of people. So okay, so oh science. Oh yeah. Hey there, Leaky. How you doing there, bud? We are studying. Um, my I was able to get a job at a training facility that's supposed to train us to be software developers. Um, it's been a really tough time trying to get an entry level job, and they were saying, "Hey, come on in." I'm like, "Okay." uh, it's you know, so it's been tough, but now that we have this job, I want to make sure that I don't lose it at all. I want to make sure that I do everything that I can to pass their training and to move on. Now the problem is that I'm not well versed in remembering every single last detail of SQL and Java. I mean, I'm stronger in Java because I've had practices, and so I know um, the different types of uh, I know quite a bit when it comes to Java. SQL, on the other hand, I haven't had much in that. So, uh, hey, employees like you, huh? Uh, I've always um, normally I don't really want to study in my off hours, to be honest. I feel that that should be like the company's responsibility. Um, I learned quite a bit in college, so you know, it it feels weird to me having to, train myself outside of work. Okay, that's, you know, you have work and you have, you know, and you had college kind of thing. So it's like it's all it's always quite irritating. Uh, when a company doesn't want to even bother training anymore. You know, they just want you to be ready to sit down and go. And I don't know. I guess I'm still kind of old-fashioned when it comes to that. Uh, you learn the basics when you go to college, and then when you get to a company, they take you from there and teach you the rest. That's how it should be. But I don't know. Something got lost, you know, um, for a long time, and it's kind of unfortunate. As an owner of a business in a field like tech, in my case, physics, I expect my employees to be up to date with the latest development in our field. Well, true, obviously. But here's the question, though. Um, do you want them to study up on the latest and greatest on company time or on their off time? You know, I mean, if they're doing research to benefit the company, shouldn't that be under the umbrella of the company because they're, in a sense, helping the company out? You know, that's, you know, are you paying them for the research that they do outside of work? Um, but to be fair, my employees get paid very well, and yes, I expect them to do what is needed to keep my company ahead of any competition. They are under contract. Okay. Well, when so here's a question then. When do your employees get to relax? When do they get to have R&R? If all their time is being spent on research and like in their off time, when do they relax? When do they get to kind of sit down and, you know, watch TV, go to movies, that kind of thing. You know, there has to be a point where an employee can kind of say, okay, I'm done with work for now. I'm gonna go do my own thing. So when they leave the building, ah, but yet you're expecting them to learn the material in their off time. So that's what I'm saying. Okay, you know, obviously, you know, this is just my view of it. Um, it it really I didn't, obviously I'm not an owner of a business or anything along those lines. So, um, obviously I've struggled trying to make it anywhere. So, um, you know, my viewpoint is uh, work and studying for the company should be done inside the business, inside the building. Once they leave the building, then they shouldn't need to study, do homework, study up on latest and the greatest at home. That's my viewpoint. So, if that, that should be the viewpoint. You know, I mean, if they want to do that, then obviously that's their prerogative. But they shouldn't get any more benefits than someone that does it at work. That's all. So their contracts state on average that they have to work a minimum of 50 hours, a max of 70, and are required to keep up to date with any innovations. But the average pay of my employees is 150K a year. I mean, and that's understandable. That's under my point is that you know uh they do the 50 hours during the week. Okay, they shouldn't be expected to do an extra 10 to 20 hours outside of work to study for those materials to keep up to date. That's all I'm saying. So okay, so let's go ahead and get to work on this. So uh, so what is a database? Hmm. Let's go with let's go ahead and work on some wiki here. Okay. Database is an organized collection of data stored and accessed electronically from a computer system. Database is organized collection of data stored and accessed electronically from a computer system. They can't, but you know, I understand what you're saying. Um, but that's what I'm doing right now. That's my case in point. You know, I'm having to do um, a lot of extra studying and work off hours to continue my job. That's all. So um, yeah, I am hourly. They only pay me hourly for the training. So yeah. But here's the thing. Um, I worked for a company once, and I was salary at that point. Um, and or was I salary? Ooh, no, no. Actually, I wasn't salary at that for the company. I was actually being paid hourly because their senior level engineers and managers were the salaried individuals. So I was hourly there as well. Oh, contract work is agreed upon terms or is way different than one expected our employee to do that. Yeah, you wouldn't expect it, but it's one of the it's it's one of those things where it's like I've tried breaking into software development for years now, and I always felt like you know, I kept on hitting that not good enough line. I kept on hitting that wall, you know. Um, not enough experience, not enough knowledge in particular applications, or um, just not enough experience, period. You know, which is ridiculous when you consider entry level. You shouldn't have to worry about experience when it comes to entry level. You know, if they even know a little bit of the information, that they learned from college, if they have a college degree, then hey, guess what? They can learn. You know, they were able to, uh, they were able to get through the studies to pass all the classes to get the degree. So, they shouldn't be expected to have 3 years of extra experience out there in the industry. How are they ever going to get experience that way? If they have the 3 years of that you have to have experience wise, how is a person ever supposed to breach that wall of entry level? So, um, Zernfield's college degree doesn't mean jack. That's true. That's true. I mean, um, computer science is definitely one of those languages that oh, it came on to the um, okay, well, hold on. Let me put you on the stream itself. if you're okay with your voice being recorded, by the way, I, you know, um, I have to kind of turn off my music and the like. So, um,
Of course.
yeah. So,
No, I get what you're where you're coming from. I mean, you're an hourly employee. Like we have terms in our contracts that not only protect me but also protect my employees, and they don't have a choice, but they agreed upon what's in that contract.
oh yeah.
You don't get a contract. You're just told this is what the job is, and you're just there, and they pay you by the hour. It's massively different. Like my employees work 50 hours a week, period,
Hmm.
no less, but cannot work more than 70.
Right.
And no, I don't expect them to go home after the 70 hours. Actually, it's in the contract that they cannot work or do anything associated with my company after the 70-hour mark. Now, if they want to go to school, that's on them.
Right.
Uh, but
And
we also send them on
and
vacation.
some fields you might need to go about doing that too. Sometimes, or if you want to like, sometimes college is a good way of like learning the latest and greatest sometimes.
Like, okay, so I have five employees that are on contract that have not gone to college, but they're coders,
Yeah.
and they deal with the data transmission aspects of what we're doing,
Hmm.
and none of them have college degrees.
Oh
I
yeah.
would not hire a college student for those jobs. And by the way, they make really, really good money. And like I said,
Oh yeah.
most of my employees make 150K a year. So I mean,
Hmm.
that's the minimum. And like I would not hire a kid out of school because schools nowadays, when it comes to like tech, they're years behind. And on top of that, they teach them bad habits. And I'd rather have somebody who's self-taught that knows the tech, knows the coding, than to hire somebody who went to school for it. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, I can I can agree on uh, certain uh, I can agree to a point. Okay. In that,
School teaches you the fundamentals. They don't teach you how to do it. And I,
oh,
whenever, I mean,
I have to kind of disagree on you with that one. There are some colleges that really hammer home on the process of coding, at least when it comes to programming. One college in particular, like Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, they teach how to code. So you cannot survive the computer science programming there without coding. So they have actual projects that they do, such as encryption, um, you know, database maintenance, artificial
yeah.
intelligence, so on and so forth. So,
I mean, and coding's such a vast array of things. I mean, like you have game coding, you have uh, server coding, you have
oh yeah,
uh, in, internet, which I mean, Java, that's mostly internet shit. Anyways,
yeah,
SQL is server in based coding. So, I mean,
yeah,
it's what field are you going to go into and how's it going to translate well. For the
right.
most part, whenever you get a college student, they've tried a little bit of everything, but they really don't have an expertise in any area.
Of course not. And why would you expect
And there
them
are
to
companies that
have?
get by with that. I mean, that's half the fly by night companies that we see on like Steam or Xbox
Well, I mean,
are just.
you shouldn't expect a person to come out of college with an expert level, especially a bachelor's degree.
Well, that's what you're going. That's what you go to school for. But colleges tend to make you take. I'd rather have somebody that's focused on coding than somebody who's focused on other things besides just coding. Because when you go to college, they actually have you do more than just coding. I mean, yeah, that's going to be what your degree's in, but you have to take stuff that's vastly outside of that realm too. And I don't care about any of that stuff as an employer. Okay.
True. Um,
I I'm just telling you, as an employer, I look at a college degree as they wasted a bunch of time that they could have just been learning coding and would be better suited for the. That's how I look at it.
well, I mean, as long as you're like,
A
putting.
lot of companies look at it that way.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate the companies that are willing to actually hire individuals that doesn't have a degree. Okay. Um,
Like I said, I have 5 employees, and not one of them has a degree
yeah.
in
Well,
coding in computer science. Not one of them. Actually, I don't think they have a degree in anything. They got out of high school and they worked their butt off learning the ins and outs of SQL is one of the things that they have to know. I mean, because we do injection code and shit like that
yeah.
into lab servers and stuff like that to transfer our data. Um, so yeah, I I brung them in, internship them in, said that's where you're going to start. We'll let you. We'll reevaluate in 3 months. If
Mm,
we think that you're going to work out, we'll hand you a contract. And by the way, we have paid internships, which are hourly.
yeah. Well,
Which
I mean,
that's the case where
I
I
really
would
don't like
say
the ones
yes,
that
I
are set
expect them to
like
go
free
home.
internships. That's bullshit. So,
No, I think that's bullshit too. But whenever I do an internship, I expect them because my internships lead to really high paying jobs.
mm,
So I expect those 3 months that I'm paying you an hourly salary, you better be going home and busting your butt every day reading everything you can. Because at the end of the 3 months, if I look at you and I'm not willing to hire you, I will I'll let you go and pull somebody else in
mm,
and not even think twice about it. I mean, that's where I'm like, I can see the justification because we're talking about going from like $20 an hour to making 150 a year. There's
mm,
a huge gap there, and you only have 3 months to do it. So, but
yeah.
yours is not that case. Yours is this is your job. It's a job to you. And no, I would not expect you to go home and study like you are doing right now.
Yeah,
But
well,
I do have that
well,
kind of.
but yeah,
This is
you
what we
you
expect.
just mentioned the fact that your interns do that, but you know, but I understand your viewpoint on it in the fact that you're basically providing them the opportunity of getting a very, very well paid job for that. Um, so
Yeah, like I said, there's a difference.
here's the kind of the split between this. Okay,
Yeah.
what I'm doing right now is just to get into the door of some of these places. Okay,
Yep.
the fact that I haven't been able to get into the door of any place for the longest time, um, just irritates the living daylights out of me. Okay. Um, I keep on trying for entry level job, entry level job, entry level job, and got rejection letters almost daily because,
I hear that story all the time from every time I step down into HR and sit in on an interview. It's yeah, I've been trying to get into an entry level position. Mo- Most companies, tech companies, don't have startup positions. This is the job you have to be able to do.
believe me, I know. Okay, that's the
Yeah,
problem.
yeah. That it's a massive gap.
every
It's a
every tech
massive gap.
every tech company is wanting you to have 3 years of experience, but how are you supposed to get that 3 years of experience if you can't get into a company in the first place? There's a catch 22 right there.
Yeah,
So,
and that's why I set up our internship because we were having a hard time finding um not not just qualified. I mean, people who knew how to code and how to handle the server data and shit like that. We were having a hard time finding anybody that knew what the heck they were. Uh oh,
yeah,
he was
you know,
making this.
don't get me wrong. I
If
understand. I understand where you're kind of coming from on that, but
I
um,
think that it's a massive flaw in tech is that they just want experience.
well,
Good luck getting it.
well, here's the thing. I'm going through a consultancy right at the moment. Okay.
Okay.
I got basically hired to study up on everything that they're going to provide me, on our hourly rate training for 10 weeks of training. Okay,
Okay.
we're going to eventually get into Pega. Um, not by my choice, by the way. This was something that they decided on myself, so I didn't really have any kind of choice based off of their training regiment that
Well,
they had.
they're testing you
But
is what they're doing.
yeah, I mean, it's okay. I mean, as long as I can get out
It's for
there
10
and
weeks.
yeah,
Bust your butt for the 10 weeks.
yeah, um,
And then you have your foot in the door at least.
yeah,
There's
then
no guarantee, but at least the foot's there.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. And I have the potential of getting into a company that they hire their contractors out to. Okay.
so my assistant, right, um, last year quit on me. All right.
Okay.
And he came back crawling back to me. He quit thinking that the 4 years that he worked with me was enough to get him into a different avenue of work and open the doors for him. And he found out very quickly that without me backing him, he was just on his own. And he
Hmm.
came crawling back like 3 months later. He's like, "Can I have my job back?" And I was like, "Dude, I need you to be back." So yeah, um,
Yeah.
it's hard out there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, that's just
It's
how it is.
it's just unfortunate that
And you chose one of
um
the hardest fields to be in, by the way,
what's that?
because it's changing all the time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It don't
So
don't don't get me wrong, okay? I know that I'm choosing a field that is constantly moving and updating and changing, and new packages are being released, new applications are being released to make things a little bit more streamlined. I get it, man. I didn't pick, but the thing is that my only other option for me back in college uh, that I had any proficiency in doing was like mathematics, and I hated the theory. And I knew that if I continued on with a mathematics
I love
degree,
mathematics.
yeah, I would, uh, I would have to get into the theory side of mathematics, and
Yeah.
I, I had a hard time with calculus, okay, but eventually I did learn uh, everything about it. I did
Weird is
learn,
like people if they have a hard time with calculus, they have an easy time with like trigonometry. So I, if
yeah,
you have if calculus is easy, trig is hard for you.
yeah,
And like me, I'm calculus. I thought was a breeze.
yeah,
Trig, I had to work for it.
yeah. Um, so basically a different kind of, it's definitely a different mindset. Problem was that
Well, all I can
when
say is, dude, I can take your info, give it to my HR, have them contact you, and if you want to try our internship program, it's a good place to start. But I'm gonna tell you, the 3 months that you're interning, it's
mm,
gonna be a nightmare for you. You're gonna hate it. Every person that we've ended up hiring goes, oh, I'm so glad that's over because it's a nightmare. Because all you do is study and work. That's all that they were doing. If
mhm,
you don't, we're not offering you a job.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
that's just how it is.
Unfortunately,
The
I got
working aspect of it is teaching you the ins and outs of our company. The
yeah,
studying aspect is to teach you the ins and out of the tech
yep,
that we're aiming for.
yep,
So that's what we expect of our employees.
mhm,
And like I said, I did the internship because I we just could not find candidates in certain areas.
mhm.
So I can take your info, pass it to my HR lady if you want, and she can
Well,
interview you and see if you're a good candidate.
Well, my
I'm
problem
not gonna
is is
promise
that
you you're gonna
I'm
get
under contract now, you know.
oh well
So
then you're
yeah.
good.
Sorry,
Oh,
you know.
contracts are great, man. They
So,
guarantee employment for a certain amount of
you know.
time.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate the offer, but unfortunately the offer came just slightly too late.
I just slightly just met you too late.
Yeah, yeah. The time, uh,
No,
the
I
con
understand the frustration.
the
I mean,
contract came up, you know, on Wednesday. So if I
oh yeah,
said
we
I didn't,
barely. I mean,
you know, if I
yeah,
said no, I don't want the contract, you know, obviously I would have been let go and had nowhere to go after that. Which, you know, right now I was like, I need work.
best time to be doing that. Yeah,
You know, so when you have no other
holiday
prospects,
phase right now.
I was like,
Uh,
yeah, no, I'm taking this. So,
a lot of companies are ramping up right now
yep.
because we're coming out of COVID and the shutdown.
Mhm.
We were pretty much down on most of our employees, and we had to pay out all the contracts too, by the way,
Mhm.
which really costed me a lot of
Yeah.
money. I, and a lot of them are coming back, but I mean, we had, I mean, just because the pandemic happened didn't
Mhm.
mean we weren't obligated to pay them. So that costed me a lot of money,
Yeah.
and I wasn't making any.
Yeah. No, I understand.
I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of people don't realize like businesses take all the risk,
Mhm.
and the employees take no risk whatsoever.
Well, they
That's why
they still
that's
take a
why
risk
companies
because,
make more money than the employees. That's why, because
well,
we're like I assume all the risk, and yeah, my employees are getting paid well, but believe me, I make way more than 150 a year. Trust me, I make way more than all of my employees put together. But I'm taking all the risk. I'm taking all like this pandemic. It costed me probably close to 100 mil. So I mean, people forget to look at that aspect of it.
well, no,
That
don't get
there's
me wrong,
this
okay? Um, I understand, the risk, factor of businesses and like, but don't make the assumption that, the employees don't have the risk either, because if the company closes down, then they're out of a job, you know,
yeah, but
and
they're not millions and millions into debt. If my company bankrupt, I'm still liable. People think bankruptcy is a get out of free jail card. It's not. A lot of people hear bankruptcy and they think, oh, they're just right. No, that's what happens to a private citizen. That's not what happens to companies. You still have to pay that debt off. All
mm,
bankruptcy means is you stop them from immediately taking the money.
yeah,
They still will take all your money.
yeah,
It gives you time to get all your assets in order, sell off stuff, liquidate, so you
hmm,
can pay them.
yep,
That's all bankruptcy is.
yep,
So, and it's not the same. I mean, it is, I get where you're coming from. Yes, employees do take, if they lose their job, they can still go find another job. A business shuts down, they're not, like, I'm not going to be starting up another business doing the same thing. I have to reinvest and take bigger risks.
mm,
So, I mean, that's the I've been doing it for a long time.
yeah,
You've been working for a long time.
yeah,
It we have a different viewpoint.
oh yeah. I wonder, have you ever met the individual, what's his name? Dan Price?
No, never heard of that name.
Okay. Um, he got apparently a lot of praise, a couple of years ago because he raised up all of his employees to 70K, and he took a pay cut to handle it, and he was like a small business for the most part. So, um,
Well,
you
I mean
know,
that's admirable and all, but I also look at it as that's not how you're going to grow your company.
You'd be surprised. Um, you should probably check them out if you want. Um,
I
uh, you know,
I
just
make a lot of money, but I put a lot more money into my company than I get.
yeah,
So I mean, it's one of those. What's best for the company? If it was best for his company to do that, then hey, cool. But every company's different.
yeah. Oh yeah, that's without a
Like
doubt. So,
like we spend about 150 mil a year on research and tech
hmm
because we have to, and that's my money, by the way.
yeah,
I mean, that's my profit goes
right.
right back into the company
Mm,
because I have to stay ahead. You know,
right.
it. I mean, so
Yeah.
my investments are way more than what you're investing in it. Yeah, it seems like a lot because you're an employee, but I guarantee you that the heads of the company, the owners, are taking a lot of risks all the time that might not pay off, and they take losses all the time too.
Well, there are definitely some
Also,
there's definitely some individuals out there that are making a lot more money than they really need to at this point. So,
well, you could say that about me.
well, I
I
mean, you mentioned the fact that you had to take up a lot of the um, you had to pay out quite a bit during the pandemic, okay, and that's understandable. You had to handle the risk on that. Some companies actually profited more off the pandemic.
well, I profited off of the pandemic. Believe me, I profited because I'm diversified. My company's just one asset. By the way, I saw the pandemic coming. I invested heavily in medical right before,
Yeah.
so yeah, I made out really well in it. But my company didn't.
hmm
My company lost a lot of money.
Right. But
So I
there were
mean,
companies that did very well because of it, though. That's the thing. And because of that, I'm basically like, for example, Amazon. Okay, they did a
Amazon did very well, yeah. And I
did,
have stock in Amazon.
yeah. Um, and the fact that their employees are being treated like shit, even during the pandemic,
Well, the thing is, that's on the
is
employees. The employees need to quit.
well, how okay.
You know what I mean?
How,
I get what you're gonna say, but in order
how are
for
they going to get
that's
another
why
job in a
unions.
pandemic, man?
I mean, that's why unions are there, man.
they've, from what I understand, they've tried. They've tried to put them together, and it kept on, getting busted or whatnot. I don't know. I haven't read too much into everything there, okay, but it's still, their employees, which is basically the backbone of the company, is being paid close to minimum wages, aren't getting the
Okay,
breaks
I've
that
got a
they need,
question for
aren't
you.
getting the medical treatments that they need. They're, you know, they're being treated like slaves, and that's not great. So,
Okay, it's no question. Who's the most valuable employee at Amazon?
what's that?
Who's the most valuable person at Amazon?
The employees working their
No, it's
warehouses.
actually Jeff Bezos. He's literally he literally grew the company to insane heights. And I mean, just the last 5 years alone, his company's grown over 2,000%. No other company's ever done that, by the way.
Oh no,
And it just keeps growing.
oh yeah, I don't get me
He's
wrong.
the only man that could have done that.
The company is doing very well for itself. I
Yeah,
get
they
that.
are.
I understand that. But um, when you treat your employees like shit, they're gonna eventually leave you. Now, I'm not saying that, Yeah, you yourself are treating
They
your
should.
employees like shit.
I,
You're
I'm
you're
I'm with
you're
you. They should
obviously
be.
doing very well for yourself, and you're paying your employees very well for that. Okay. Um, but
I pay them
Amazon
industry
itself isn't
standard, by
paying
the
their
way. I
employees.
don't pay them very well. I pay them the industry standard. I could pay them more. I'm not going to though. I like my money. They get paid the industry standard.
Okay,
So I mean, I'm not trying to be a dick, but it is business to me.
I
And
understand.
whenever when I look at like a person, I look at what value they're gonna, how much money they're gonna bring in for me versus what it's gonna cost me to have them as an employee. If I'm not making more money off of them than what it's costing me to have them there, they're gone.
Okay. Here's the thing. Okay. Um, if you don't have any employees, if no employees wants to join your company whatsoever, then you have no business. Period.
Hey, you say that, but that's not kind of how the world works, though, because there's 7 billion people on the planet. They all want that job. They all want a job. And if say you don't want the job, there's somebody who will. Like you, whenever I was like, I can put you in touch with my HR, and they, dude, we have upwards of 3 to 4 thousand people that apply for that position every 2 or 3 days.
Who
I mean,
knows?
there's
I
always
probably did.
uh
Who knows? I probably did. I don't know.
I mean, there's
Maybe.
always somebody that's going to be willing to take over that spot. The thing is with the business, we have to sit there and go, if they're not profitable, we're not taking you. That's what a business does. And if the majority of the people that are applying aren't profitable, that's when a business starts to hurt. Not, oh, if we treat our employees bad or whatever. They don't, most businesses don't think about that stuff
No, of course they don't.
because it's not about them.
And that's a
It's about
problem
their bottom
nowadays.
line.
And that's a problem nowadays. You have a lot of employees that are getting treated like shit nowadays, and a lot.
That hasn't changed. It's been like that for 80,000 years. That's just
Mm,
how humans are.
no, I mean there's been some really good companies that treated their employees really well. I mean before, um, you know,
They don't
um,
last. That's a Hollywood. That's a Hollywood thing. Oh, raise your employees up. That's just not it. Unless you can be assured that you're going to make money off of it, you don't want to do that.
if you're paying your employees, you know, under, poverty wages, and you are like one of the largest businesses, in the United States, then you're gonna have a lot of people that are gonna eventually get angry. Okay? There's a reason why the French Revolution
It's
occurred.
not the people that get
So,
angry; it's the people working for them that get angry. Most people that just don't care. I mean, look at EA. There's a great example. They make billions off of their games. They pay their coders next to nothing. This is talking in the field that you're in.
hmm.
They try every they try to do the outrage crap every year or so. Oh, they we should be speaking up and trying to. Yet they still have a long line of people waiting to get that job.
Well, EA
I
doesn't.
mean,
EA doesn't actually. EA isn't a development studio itself. It
no, they
hires
own
out
all the
all
companies that are development
they
studios.
put
But
they put
people,
their money
I mean,
towards development studios.
right,
So,
and they own them, and they they own those companies. They're the parent company. Well, they actually there's a parent company above EA, but I was using EA as an example of a name you might
yeah.
know. We could talk about okay, let's use Alphabet Company. There's a good example. The
Yep, you still there? Kind of. Oh, we're lagging. We're lagging. 1 second. Hopefully it'll come back fairly soon.
and operate. I mean, just
Oh,
operate. They say this is the bottom line. Do it. They
oh,
don't care whether they have slaves working in India. They don't care that they have slaves working in China. They just care about the money. The Alphabet company is a multi-billion dollar, and by multi, I'm talking hundreds of billions of dollars. I think it's last I looked, it was worth like $700 billion. And they literally, I mean, in order for you to use Google, you're supporting slavery because they actually have slaves.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Believe me,
you
I know, man. I know. It's
so I mean, there's an example of yeah, you can say that, but the reality is, look at Alphabet. You still use Google, don't you?
yeah.
That's just because humans we like to feign concern.
Be careful. Be careful with that because it got you know if you look at history, okay, um,
But
just
we're
it
right
just
now.
just check out French Revolution, man.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
know
I
your
know
history,
all of it.
the
I'm saying we're in an era right now that's never been defined before.
oh yeah, no,
We
don't
have one guy. We have one guy who has more power than half the world's politicians. One guy,
mm,
Zach, Mr. Zuckerberg. He basically is a king of over 2 billion people. That is the largest empire ever built.
yeah,
We're living in an era that's undefined.
oh yeah.
So
Well,
looking at the past is not a good way to do it.
but at the same time, you
It's
don't
a
want to
good way to
ignore
take lessons from it.
it though because
Oh no, I'm not saying ignore it. It's not a
because
good way to
the
move
the past
forward.
the past can repeat itself. And if we keep on treating, you know, all the lower workers and keeping them in poverty wages and remove the middle, if we remove the middle class, which has been happening, the middle class has
I don't
been,
think we should remove the middle class. No,
well,
I
that's,
don't.
that's the problem is that the wages keep on dropping and dropping and dropping, or just they stay stagnant, and the middle class is just gonna basically evaporate, and you're gonna basically have only poor
Yeah, but that's
and
not.
the rich.
But
And when you get to that
what's the
point,
solution to that? And that it's not pay them more. That's not a solution because they're companies exist to make money, and just handing money out is not going to solve the problem. For one, you got to you're basically saying the employee's value is way more than what the CEO is, who should be making the most money because they're the ones steering the ship. They're taking all the risk. It's
right?
like you going to Vegas.
But at the
Okay,
same time,
okay,
the CEO is nothing without employees.
okay. So if you go to Vegas and put $100 on the table and lose, who's responsible for that?
The person who put the money down.
Right. Well, that's kind of what businesses are. They're the people that are putting the money down. Okay. So you put the
Okay,
money down. Let's say it's you, for example. You're taking a risk. You put the $100 down.
right.
You win. Let's say you win. You put 100 down. You win 100,000.
Okay.
Whatever.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, I totally understand I totally understand where you're coming from on that. Okay, on the fact that CEOs is taking on the risk. Here's the thing: the CEO isn't getting that $100 chip to spend on the table without the employees. Okay,
True. I mean,
they're not going
I
to get that chip without the employees. If all the employees leave the company like tomorrow, okay, their profits are going to take a nosedive. Okay, their company's ruined. Okay,
for
because
a day or two, like if all my employees quit, yeah, we're going to be shut down for a week tops, and then I'll have all new employees in. But then I also then go and sue those employees because I have contracts.
but yeah, but when you have hourly wages, they're not going to care.
I'm not going to lose money, right? Because they violated their contracts.
But
But hourly is a
I'm
little
not
bit different.
talking about
They,
I'm not talking about
I
you
know,
specifically though, okay? But
I know, but okay.
the
So
point
say
is
I
that
don't see.
you know the you know you're right. Someone does need to steer the ship, okay? The CEO steers the ship and so on and so forth. I get that, no problem. You know, um, that's and there is risk on that, okay? Every business is a risk, okay? But at the same time, if you're treating your employees like shit, okay, which again, I'm not saying that you are. That don't make that assumption, okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Um, you know, I'm just kind of basing it off of other companies that have treated their employees, uh, kept their employees in poverty wages, and there's no sign of any growth on that. Okay, the company's making billions in profit, but they're treating their employees um, with poverty level wages. There's a problem with that.
Yeah, but here's what your assumption is. Here's the problem with the logic that you're throwing at me. Your assumption is the employees leave. No one's going to be there to take up the slack. No one's going to be there who's going to want to come in and take over that job. That's what you keep assuming, and you keep forgetting that there's 7 billion people on this planet. There's always going to be somebody who's going to do that job. Always. That's just how it is. Unless something absolutely disastrous happens, where it scares off all those that are wanting a job, there's always going to be somebody there to replace them. And that's where the market comes in. And that's why you can an employee gets treated like crap because there is a line of people waiting. Especially coming out of this pandemic. Right now, I can pick and choose who the hell I want because there's so many people wanting a job, right?
Right.
So I can go, yeah, I don't want you. Fuck off. And there's not a damn thing they can do about
Hmm.
it. And they can sit there and go, oh, I'll get all your employees to strike on. Go ahead. I, there's like 500 of you standing right in front of me, so don't care. That's what that's what I think you're not seeing is that you're acting like the employees are irreplaceable. They're not. I can take one of the thousands of applications I get, put them in a position, and train them. I can train them myself, and they'll be fine. So if my whole tech department just disappears, I know what's going on. I can teach. If I can't teach, I can bring somebody in to teach them.
You're gonna be taking a lot of losses for that though.
Not really. I mean, we
If
ex-
if
we
if
have we
if
have uh
if your entire
expectation of certain losses.
if your entire employee base just kind of leaves, then you're just the only one left
They're the same as
holding the
everybody.
bag to um, handle the hiring process again, handle the learning of all the material again. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure that you can do it, you know, um, but it, you know, won't be immediate.
You'd be surprised how fast we can get people in if we need them.
Well,
I mean, we might have to run at a loss for a very short period of time,
you're saying
but we have money set aside.
you keep on saying
Or
we, but I'm just saying like, hey, if all your employees leave, I mean everyone, you're like the only one left there at the company, you
then
know.
start hiring people. It's not my company doesn't disappear.
No, no, I get it.
All the
I'm
property that my company owns,
I'm
all
I'm
all
just
the data
saying,
that we have.
rehiring the HR to make sure that they understand the systems and they can start the process of rehiring everybody. Then rehiring all your technicians to handle all the technology and training
Yeah,
them
it's
back up
gonna take
to
us
what you
a couple
need.
of weeks, months, whatever,
Yeah,
to get back up to full. But I have, we have money set aside to prevent, to cover our losses if that happens.
right.
I mean, we're not sitting there going, "Oh crap!" That's why. That's one of the reasons why I make so much money. Because like I said, I put my money back into my company, and part of that is taking money and putting it aside in case something like what just happened last year, over the last year and a half,
Hmm.
where we were pretty much shut down, didn't make my company disappear.
Yeah,
I mean, we were ready for it because I made sure that stuff was in place. That's what a good company does. And guess what? All the employees are coming. Most of them are coming back. There's a few of them that aren't. Their contracts came up at the end, in the middle of it, and they decided not to renew. And so we stopped paying them
yeah,
in the middle of the pandemic. But they were working at another company.
yeah,
Well, they wanted to work at another company. That's
mm,
what it was. They were bored.
yeah. The I'm just remembering. I'm just remembering. Some of the uh, like the fast foods during the pandemic. Okay, there was quite a few that shut their doors down because the employees didn't want to go there.
There's a lot.
You know.
300 million businesses went poof
Oh yeah.
because of the
Oh
pandemic.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Because it's poor business management. Yeah,
Well, that's
totally.
that's the point. Is that if what my point is that if you're treating your employees like crap, don't expect them to stay there. Don't expect them to take it.
Like
So
McDonald's has treated their employees like shit for what, 50, almost 60 years. And I guarantee you they're not going anywhere.
no, but that's the thing. Franchisee might might fail because of it. So
The company won't.
no, no. I'm sure that the company can handle the
Yep. And
handles
that's why some
handle small losses like that.
even
But
big losses, like you can shut down an entire region of McDonald's and it won't affect them.
yeah, oh yeah,
They just
because
don't care.
because they're international. Um,
Yep.
oh yeah. Um,
Look at Facebook as an example of one of the biggest corporations in the world. They literally took on Australia. Literally said Australia passed a law that said that they had to pay uh, news agencies in Australia if they want to post it on somebody's timeline. So Facebook said, fine, no more news. Literally shut down news out of Australia. And within 4 days, they were like, yeah, okay, we're back. We won't do that because people rather listen to what Facebook has to say over what the government has to say.
yeah.
Some government.
No, you gotta be careful with
Yep.
the whole Facebook thing. It's like you got a lot of idiots on there. One of the
Yeah,
reasons
like I
why I
said,
don't I don't
I
really
actually like talking to intelligent people. Yeah, I'm not like trying to discourage you or whatever, but it's you gotta get away from the employees irreplaceable. No employee is irreplaceable, and I think that's where a lot of people keep going, and they keep forgetting. You know what I mean?
I just you know you just gotta be careful with that. Like for
Yeah, I
example,
mean,
if
and
if
don't get me wrong, I don't
if
go and
if
treat my employees like shit.
oh no no no, I'm like I said, I'm not stating that you are. Okay, my point is that if this pandemic had just kept on going and going and going, more businesses would have failed. More businesses would have failed. You have individuals that are just keep on getting richer based off of the
Yep,
pandemic. Then
yep,
you would have seen such a huge disparity between the poor and the rich at that point in time that you would have had another French Revolution at that point.
Yeah, but the thing is the French Revolution wasn't just brought on by that disparaging between. It was also there's a lot of political stuff that was going on behind the scenes, and there was a lot of they were trying to get rid of. It wasn't just the people. There was a lot of people in the palaces and in the parliament that were actually trying to undermine uh, the king, and that's what caused the revolution. And they empowered the people. It
Yep.
wasn't the people who took power; it's they were empowered by those that they were trying to take down, which is
Hmm.
hilarious.
Yeah. But that's also they also have to kind of be careful with that because even those that were saying "Yay, freedom fighters, go!" and then they got their head chopped off.
Yep.
So
Oh
even
yeah, it massively backfired on them. I'm not going to say it didn't, but I mean the lesson that you learn there is if you do have power, watch who you send after. I mean, look at Biden. Biden was all for Black Lives Matter. Now what's he doing? He's labeling them a terrorist group,
did he?
which he should have done to begin with. Um,
Wait,
and it's putting them in the
what?
wrong.
Yeah, well, okay, hold on. Gotta be careful here. Okay, I don't want to go step too much into political, man. Okay,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
because it's very polarizing right at this moment in time. The fact that you just said Black Lives Matter is a terrorist group that
Oh,
could.
I said Biden labeled them. Is what I said.
Okay, do you agree with them?
Uh, do you want that answer?
I'll say no. Okay.
Okay,
Uh,
there you go.
that's my point. I we got to be careful with
Yeah,
that. Okay,
that's
so
why I said he labeled them.
yeah, so
So I wasn't trying to bring that. I mean, that's the same thing that was happening with the French Revolutionary War, though, is the leaders were making decisions and then propping up and then kicking them while they're kicking them whenever they get up at a certain height, and that's what caused the French Revolutionary War.
yeah.
So I mean, it's the same thing. We're already sitting in the middle of it.
Oh yeah, I know. I was seeing a lot of similarities, for a while now, and
Yep.
it
So am
it
I.
it was scary. It was
Oh yeah,
scary.
I mean, the last 2 years has been nuts. There's been
Hmm.
so many riots,
Yeah, a lot of bad stuff going on out there, and
and we have a bunch of leaders who are cheering them on,
I know.
and then now that they're in power, they're saying, "Oh no, 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 no! You're acting like terrorists now." That's exactly what happened during the French Revolutionary War. And then they were just like, "Nope, we're just going to cut all you guys' heads off."
Yeah. Well,
So
I mean,
that's
the citizens just got so tired of it. They got tired of the leadership that was going on. So they
I
was like going, hey,
yeah, I had
y-
relatives that were there
you know,
during it. Yeah,
yeah, hey, you know, you have, you live in the rich sector of the town. Well, guess what? You're on the chopping block. You know. Oh, you were trying to support us? Yeah, we don't care.
yep,
So,
that's what's been happening today. Yep.
no, not quite. Not quite. Not yet. It hasn't gotten to that point where people are literally dying on the chopping block.
Are you kidding?
Not right. Well, I mean,
Not the rich. The rich aren't dying.
but that's my point. Okay,
Look at Atlanta.
you don't have the
Let me share
citizens out in
pictures
the
of
street
Atlanta.
dragging millionaires out of their mansions
Oh yeah,
and throwing them
you gotta
onto.
check out the neighborhood.
Okay.
You'll love this. So Atlanta um, decided they wanted to defund the police until they decided to go and riot in the rich neighborhoods, and then all the people of that neighborhood decided we're going to hire private security, and they're going to be our police force. That's where we're at.
Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, they've already tried it.
Like I said, you know, history is getting close to repeating itself. That's why. So
We're right on the cusp. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
so you know,
And
and
I don't think it's on the corporations. I think it's on the citizens themselves.
uh,
Well, I know, right? That's what I'm saying. Sorry, my cat. He just did a really weird meow. Um, it's on the employees. It's the corporation's
well, I
just
mean,
an entity.
how are the employees going to change though? You know, if that's like the only job that they can get, if that's the only job that they can do, you know, like
It's at the corporation's fault, though.
that's
That's on the individual.
I mean, if that's all that they can do,
You're not guaranteed a job. That
sure.
goes back to the employee is not irreplaceable, and it's not on the company to make sure that they are. You see what I'm saying? I mean, the corporation's job is not to make sure that you're fitted for the job that they need. It's your job to make sure you're fitted in the job they need. And that's where I think that this current generation kind of has things messed up. They think the world should kind of do what they want.
Well, I mean, back in the day, you actually had, you know, employees basically, look at Ford. You know, he was pretty much pulling
Yeah.
people straight from the streets and teaching them the skills to be on the assembly line to make the Fords, and they were being paid really well for the work that they did.
Okay. So let's fast forward to the 80s. Ford damn near went under. And because
Okay, how
the unions
that's
came in and locked down.
that's 60
Hold
years
on.
of growth though.
Yeah.
That's
And
that's
the car
that's
industry has
pretty
almost
good
collapsed
for a
like
company.
in my
So,
lifetime alone has almost collapsed like 5 times. There's been 5 bailouts for the car industry,
yeah.
which I think is absolutely insane that we're bailing out car industries.
Mm,
Like, if you can't afford to stay in business, you should not be in business.
yeah,
Instead, we're writing them $100 billion checks.
I know.
Okay.
I didn't agree with that either.
But
I
Ford
mean,
treats their employees very well.
if it's well, I mean, it was the fact that, all the American companies were just kind of doing their normal thing, not really innovating themselves, whereas other, car companies were innovating, were keeping up to, you know, we're finding new ways of producing, um, faster, more fuel efficient cars and the like, and they're basically beating the American asses. And, you know, the capitalism should have taken it in and said, "Hey, guess what? You guys didn't innovate. You should fail just like anyone else should." So, but, you
Well,
know,
here's that's not why they fell. They failed because we went into a recession and nobody was buying cars. Nobody could afford to buy cars because they outpriced the cost of an automobile to where nobody could afford it. That's what caused them to get in the 80s 3 times in the 80s that happened. Then it happened again in the 90s. Then it happened two more times in 2010 and up to 2010. Then it happened again in 2012. I think 2017 was the last bailout we did for the car industry. We should not be bailing them out. They have really bad business practices.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it is they overpay their employees, which puts their vehicle costs for a new vehicle out of the range of a lot of potential customers. And that's where somebody like me would go, yeah, I'm not paying you that much. I want my I want people to buy my car at a reasonable rate. But then you have other issues where there's a monopoly on selling cars in our country. So it even keeps the price even higher.
Well, I mean, the fact that you had, um,
It's like
you know,
it's like cable television, okay? They
you
can
had,
charge whatever they want because literally all the cable companies got together and decided we're not going to compete with each other. We're not. I'm not even going to be in your area, so you can do whatever you want.
yeah,
And they figured out about what people would pay for it, and that's kind without losing a bunch of customers. If they raise the price all of a sudden 50%, they would lose all their customers instantly.
mm-hmm,
So they keep it down to a reasonable amount, which it's still too high, like considering the American people paid to have everything installed and blah blah blah, and we pay for all the innovation they do, blah blah blah. $100 a month is insane for cable. It shouldn't be that high. If you look at other countries, we pay 5 times what other countries do because we allow them monopoly.
yeah,
Like half the like that's where half the problem is. It's not on how you treat your employees and stuff like that. It's that greed mentality. Like if I wanted to, I could crush all my competitors, right? Actually, there's two of them I probably couldn't crush. I couldn't afford to. But two of my competitors, let's put them. Let's say they didn't exist. I can crush everybody else underneath my company,
mm,
right?
okay,
Do I do it? No, because the competition keeps the prices at a stable value for me.
mm-hmm,
So it's good to have competition in this still.
yeah, it should, it should, but yet you have,
I can do things that some of the most of the companies can't do because I'm a big enough company.
mm-hmm,
The two companies that I said that I couldn't crush, they don't just do what my company does. They're actually owned by a bigger company that they've actually tried to buy me out several times,
mm-hmm,
and I've refused.
right,
And they even tried lowballing bids and shit like that, and I'm just like, yeah, I can do it too. Um, which pushed the value down. But when they realized they couldn't suffocate me that way, they've kind of backed off quite a bit. They lost a lot of money trying to kill my company. And yeah, I lost money too, but I'm a big enough corporation, was a big enough corporation at that point that I could fend them off.
mm,
And I planned wisely for my expansion. And I think a lot of people forget to do that. I think
yeah.
a lot of businesses forget to do that.
A lot of businesses were, obviously a lot of businesses that were like small to medium, obviously a lot of them failed. So,
Yep.
because obviously they, couldn't make enough overall profit to keep themselves afloat. I mean, hell,
Yep.
you know, it's what they say, if you can't last 5 years and, if you can't make a profit in 5 years, then you know, you're
Well, we have
it's
enough.
game over.
I have enough capital that we can last 15 years without making a single penny. So, and that's how I've always run my company is
Mm,
that we have 15 years worth of capital. We don't overexpand. If I don't have the money to keep afloat the expansion for the 15 years, I don't expand. And that's keeping me living in the lifestyle that I'm accustomed to, by the
yeah.
way. Making sure my company can keep going.
Oh, yeah.
Which means I also take care of the employees for that 15 years or whatever,
Right.
making sure insurance is paid, everything is covered, taxes, lawsuits, crap like that.
Yeah.
And I'm starving all of a sudden, so I'm gonna jump out and I will be back in a little bit. If you're still on, I will talk to you then.
No worries, man. I'm like I said, I'm gonna be studying this for a while, so
Yeah, I think I've been distracting you too. Sorry.
no worries.
All right,
No
I'll be
worries.
back.
Okay, data query language, part of the basic grouping of SQL sublanguages. These sublanguages are mainly categorized for four categories. DQL statements are used for performing queries on a data within schema objects. The purpose of DQL commands is to get the schema relation based on the query passed to it. Although they are often considered part of the DML, SQL select statement is strictly speaking an example of DQL. When asking from or where data manipulators to the select statement, the statement is then considered part of the DML. Data query language, data query language, data query language, data query language, data query language. Data query language. Data definition language, data definition language, data definition, or data definition or data description? Which one did he pick? Hmm, hold on a second. Go ahead and bring up. I have my notes somewhere. So 1 second. Let me. Let's see. No, wait. I want to go to programming folder. Start up the database application. I put all my notes in there, so DB. Oh, hold on. I should actually let's go to webcam only. I don't necessarily want to. If there's anything like I don't want to like get in trouble with the company if I accidentally show off something. Although it's training, so it doesn't really matter all that much. But still, I don't want to necessarily get in trouble with them by accidentally showing anything. So 1 second. Okay. Let's go ahead and get this live again. Okay, so where did I put those notes? TCL. Nope. Okay, so mm, that's not it. No. Oh, where is it? Methods, procedures. that. Hmm. Nope, that's not the right one. I should have labeled my files a little bit better. Okay, I want to hold on to that one. Nope, don't need that. Okay, what is a database? A structured system that stores data. What is structure? Let us retrieve the data efficiently. Is that something that was kind of covered here? No. Okay. Uh, Types of databases. Relational database system. MongoDB. No, SQL. Okay. What is a relational database? Have foreign keys. Have references to other data. Okay. Okay. We're going to hold off on that for now. Okay, there's data control language. Syntax similar to a computer programming language used to control access to data stored in the database. In particular, this component of data control language is one of the logical group in SQL commands. Samples of DCL commands include grant and revoke. True. It's used to provide privileged users. Control access. Okay. So it's meant to it's basically like the permissions of it all. Data control language. Permission management for users in the database. Yep, there it goes. Okay. So let's see. He defined it as DDL is data definition language. Okay. Not data description language, data definition language. Syntax for creating and modifying database objects such as tables, indices, and users. DDL statements are similar to computer programming language for defining data structures, especially database schemas. Common examples of DDL statements include create, alter, and drop. Allows us to define the structure of the data. Each of these commands is associated with modifying and creating the whole table. Okay. Excuse me. Where did they talk about schema at all? No. Oh, yeah, there's. What is a schema? Okay, so schema defines tables in database. It's a blueprint for all the tables. You know what? I should be actually writing all this down so that it tries to enhance the memory overall. So, uh, so let's see. Oh wait, this is a view only. Silly me. Let's go ahead and create a new spreadsheet here. And move tab to another new window. There we go. Okay, so we're going to just take all that, move it into a spreadsheet that I can actually modify. There we go. And now, let's see, data definition language um, allows us to define the structure of the table of our, well, they say of our data, but let's see. Um, in database objects such as tables, indices, and users. So it's more than just the table itself. Okay. Uh, yeah, structure of our data is more akin to what its overall matter is all about. So, okay. Let's see. Where is data control? Interesting. It's not there. Huh, okay. So this isn't something that he wants? That seems strange. Okay, well, let's move on. Actually, hold on. Let me go ahead and just kind of put it in here anyway. What is DCL? Data control language. Sets the permissions or access to the data. At least that's what I believe. Provide privileges to users. That's fairly the same. I don't know whether or not the wording is going to be extremely needed, though. Ooh, I gotta be careful with that. Unfortunately, the answers that he was writing down were from sometimes given by the students themselves. So, I mean, if he's kind of providing it as um, I guess acceptable enough. So, all right. With that, we can move on. Let's see. There is DML and DQL. Okay, so let's see. DML. No, I don't have it in my notes as to what exactly they reference or their. That's unfortunate. Okay. Data manipulation language. Adding, deleting, and modifying data in the database. So, data manipulation language. Used for adding, deleting, and modifying data within a database. Okay. Now, DQL is most likely data query language. So data Language. Oh, here, hold on. I need to, before my headset gives out on me, I need to kind of get the music playing again. And no, I'm sorry, I cannot play the music if anyone's kind of wondering. Um, copyright is a bitch sometimes. So, okay. I have to have constant sound coming into my speakers in order to, or into my headset. Otherwise, my headset powers out for some reason. So, I really wish that there was a way that I can update the firmware to allow for that to to allow for you know uh, output for the mic to keep the headset active. But yeah, I don't know if that's something that can be changed. So yeah, data query language. I figured it was the query because of SQL is a sequential query language, I think. Right. Structured query language. Structured query language. Okay. So data query language. What are you all about? Okay. Part of the base grouping of SQL sublanguages. These sublanguages are mainly categorized into four categories. Sometimes TCL is argued to be part of the sublanguage set as well. Let me go ahead and open up a. Wait. They show the TCL, but they don't have a strict page for that. Okay. It's not very helpful there, guys. Okay, well, not much I can really do about that for the time being. Um, DQL statements are used to perform queries on the data within schema objects. The purpose of DQL commands is to get the schema relation based on the query passed to it. Although often considered part of the DML, the SQL select statement is strictly speaking an example of DQL. When adding from or where data manipulators to the select statement, the statement is then considered part of the DML. Okay. Okay. So when you just have the select statement, select star from certain table, that's just a standard query. You're retrieving the data from the database, so that hence the data query language portion of it. Then once you, well, okay, it's saying when adding from or where though. Hmm. Can you actually just do select star and it just basically retrieves everything, all the tables? Hmm. Makes me wonder. Um, so just using select star. Um, let's see. So let me check this here real quick though. Let me. Hmm, let's see. Let's just do. Hmm. It seems to me as though there really isn't a way to um, isolate select by itself. If you do select star, you know, to just try to keep it within the data query language, um, it won't work out. So this is interesting. Okay, well, let's see. How did he have this set up? Does not manipulate the data, so it should not be considered under DML. Um, DML. Okay. Uh, only contains the single command select. And to query the database. Okay. As TCL. Okay, let's see. CRUD operations. I'm seeing that right now at this point in time, um, so I want to try to focus on this a little bit. So CRUD is create, read, update, and delete. Right. Um, which create is, no, create is create, right? So, oh no, they're doing insert. Yeah, okay. Not creating the table itself, you're actually just entering data into it. So create gives you insert, read gives you select, update gives you alter, and delete is drop, right? Oh, they did delete. Okay. Okay, so update is update apparently to them. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I got one out of the four. Okay. Um. Okay. So drop table is the removal of the entire table itself. Delete is just removing the information contained within it. You're keeping the overall structure. Um, alter, you're changing the schema um, of the table, so that's why it has update. You're changing the values contained within the table. Obviously, select is the read, insert is the addition into it. Okay. 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 TCL. When did he manage transactions on the database? Is also pretty important. Transaction control language. So, still in caps. Transaction control language. Obviously, controlling transactions, but that doesn't mean anything to me right at this moment in time. It's um, we need to know, what exactly is a transaction to kind of take care of all that. So let's look up what transactions are all about, shall we? Transaction. Um, hmm, Sequence of operations performed. Transaction, a group of set of tasks into a single execution unit. A lot of different definitions for it based off of everybody else, and that's kind of unfortunate. And transaction may consist of a single read. Let me see what this transaction is. A single unit of work. If a transaction is successful, all the data modifications made during that transaction is committed and become a permanent part of the database. Transaction encounters errors and must be canceled or rolled back, then all the data modifications are erased. Okay. Okay, I believe he addressed transactions directly at one point in time. see. Transit dependencies. Don't need to really worry about that. Hmm. Okay. Didn't find what I'm looking for though. If there's a way that I can actually view. No. Shouldn't have to reopen another. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Don't need that one. Don't need that one. Don't need that one. I'm trying to find the transaction notes or yeah, transactions that I made. But so far I haven't found them yet. Okay, there it is. Transaction control language. Transaction bundle together operations so that they all execute a single all or nothing operation. Queries a single SQL statement under DML. Um, whatever properties of transactions. I'm assuming these three here are is what he's referring to: save point, rollback, and commit. But let's confirm that real quick though. Um, Session properties. Okay. Then no, that's not the properties then. Yes, this is referencing acid, which is, obviously another point in our question list. So, okay, so let's see. Bundle together operations so that they all execute in a single all or nothing operation. Let's see, what is query? That's, I'm gonna assume retrieval of information from a table. Let me verify that that is indeed the proper definition. Like I said, I gotta be careful with my verbiage here. I don't necessarily want to get myself into trouble because I worded it incorrectly. Um, they're giving me all the commands and like, but what is a query in a database? There we go. Request for data or information from a database table or combination tables. Okay, so I'm pretty good with that one then. So what are the properties of transactions? This one I'm not too sure of. It's either ACID or it is these points. Save point, roll back, commit, which is save point, um, uh, creates a checkpoint to go back to, roll back, um, returns the data back to the original values stored within the save point and commit. Um, Commit is commit. But I need to basically be able to voice it to him next week. So um, uh, commit which will persist the information into the database for all users. Hmm. Let's see. Um, persist. Image. Persist information for all users. Persistent information on the table for all users. Into into the database. That's damn it. No, that's not gonna work. Persistent information into the database for all users. Um, Revert to a previous save point for rollback. Yeah. Okay. What is a key? Um, well, key is a unique value that basically is a way to retrieve the information instantaneously, but it might have like a different definition overall. Let's see. Um, okay. I don't know if he covered exactly what a key is. He talked about the um, he talked about the different types of keys. As much I remember. Let's see. Um, okay. Yeah, he doesn't talk about the keys directly. Or based off of the notes, he doesn't talk about, what is a key. He talks about like primary key, foreign key, kinetic key, and composite key, but he doesn't actually cover what is a key. So, um, so let's see. Oh, now it's getting darker. No, I'm still okay right at the moment. All right. Let's see. key. Let's see. And index comprised of a single point of value or multiple, which allows for retrieval of information from the database. Okay, and now I have, know what a primary key and know what a foreign key is. I'm not very familiar with the candidate and the composite key. So, what is a primary key? Um, it's pretty much this, same kind of difference between these two. 13 and 15 is pretty much the same, in that, um, you know, uh, a unique, not null value, um, that allows for immediate retrieval of that particular record slash row. Okay. Um, Foreign key is, you know, it's the foreign key is basically representing the primary key in another table. So, um, uh, represents a primary key from another table being referenced within uh, how do I phrase it? um, uh, Being referenced within I guess the current table. I don't know if that's really proper. Um, let's see. Um, Primary key of another table that are table references. Um, has to reference actual data from the other table, which is true. I mean, if the primary key is unique and not null, then the foreign key also has to be unique and not null. So, okay. What is the candidate key? Um, um, Candidate key is a column that can act as a primary key, but is not a primary key. Well, that says a lot. Not really. Let's look this up, shall we? Uh, what is a candidate key? Nope. Come on, candidate key. There we go. Um, okay. What is the difference between a primary key and a candidate key? There we go. Primary key is a unique, non-null key which identifies a record uniquely in table. Table can only have one primary key. Candidate key is also a unique key to identify a record uniquely in a table, but a table can have multiple candidate keys. Okay. Let's see. So, unique key to identify a record, uh, multiple candidate keys. Candidate key column can have a null value. Candidate key signifies as which key can be used as primary key. And key may or may not be a primary key. Okay. Let's go ahead and write this down here. Um, um, Similar to a primary key, but, but while it may be unique, it can be null and allow for multiple keys. There we go. Okay, let's music kind of shut off for me. Let's go and get that started again. There we go. All right. Okay, so composite key. What is a composite key? Composite key is multiple columns that can act as a primary key. Okay, so um, basically you combine multiple columns um, into like a single key. You don't have a primary key in that regard, um, or can you? It says that acts like a primary key, but it could be very similar to the candidate key, meaning that they could still be null. So maybe let's go ahead and confirm this real quick. So candidate key, two or more attributes that together uniquely identify an entire entity occurrence. Compound keys, which the attribute that may set the single foreign key in its own right. Let's see. Composite key versus primary key. I was kind of hoping that I could actually get like a little table that was from that other one. I like the table format because it kind of shows the um, information side by side. Hey there, Petcat. What's up, Jim? This is Jason, by the way. Hey, how you doing there, bud? Jason. Oh, Jason from class? Okay, so Okay, so composite key, um, similar to the candidate key. Yep, probably not going to watch the stream. Just saying hi since I saw you streaming. Just getting Project Zero done. Yeah. Um, but the thing is normally I stream a coding stream where I work on the game that I've been working on. But problem is that I don't want to mess up on the one-to-ones. So I'm having to. I really want to kind of study up on everything here. I mean, I'm not done with Project Zero either, but um, you know, uh, I didn't meet his demands on the one-on-one when it came to Java. And even though, I know how to program and the like, he just wasn't satisfied with my answers. So I don't want to have, I don't want to, you know, cause any additional problems or anything along those lines. So I'm taking my 4 hours that I normally dedicate to the to my building of the game into studying for the next one-on-one. And well, obviously, the presentation uh, for Project Zero is going to be its own beast, but I can worry about that a little bit later once I'm done with Project Zero. So, uh, good luck with continuing on the Project Zero, though. So, uh, combines multiple columns into a single key, um, making a unique value can be null and allow for multiple keys. Okay. Okay, so multiplicity. Okay, let me kind of go back up here again. So SQL is structured query language. Um, uh, see how should I go about defining this? Totally get it. He said something similar to me. I can code, just not great at answering interview questions. I need to have it burned in my mind, or else I'll sound unsure, which is not attractive from an interview standpoint. Yeah, yeah. That's pretty much where I'm kind of at. I mean, obviously there are some there are obviously points that I know, in Java. Um, but the questions that he gave me, I wasn't like 100% sure of. It's been a long time uh, since I've been in college, so a lot of the information that he kind of gave to us, um, I learned back in the day, but still it wasn't like front of my mind. So, um, I want to kind of go back over this. Um, going over the difference of collections and the framework of that. the difference between you know, uh, list, set, and queue, um, knowing the overall hierarchy um, of those, and then making sure that I know the four pillar. I can explain the four pillars backwards and forwards. So I think those were the main points that he was trying to say. Hey, make sure that you know. So even though again, I technically know the ideas behind them. Um, like if you were to say, okay, here's the definition, what is it? I'd be like, oh yeah, that's, inheritance, that's polymorphism, that's encapsulation, that's um, polymorphism, encapsulation, inheritance, and abstraction. Why do I keep on forgetting about abstraction? But so I'm just taking some time to do that. And then once the stream's over, then I'll go back to working on Project Zero again. So that's the idea. So at least that's the main uh that's my thought line on it. So, you know, I'm taking a fair amount of time working on um the presentation layer. Um Making sure that that's all pretty much taken care of. Um, which kind of makes me wonder a little bit on the fact that you know uh, one of the points on Project Zero is to making sure that you don't have any kind of negative numbers coming in, and I'm currently handling that in the presentation layer, and I wonder if that's actually bad style. Basically saying, hey, give me an amount to deposit to be to withdrawal, and if they give a negative number, it just basically says, sorry, try again. Hmm. Or if that should go into if that should actually go into the source to verify the value there. Hmm. I would imagine that the presentation layer should be able to handle something as simple as that. Because you're not like processing any kind of data. Um, you're not taking the data that they put in and modifying it or adding it into the database or anything along those lines. So I would figure that confirmation of a positive value can still satisfy the presentation layer, but that's me. Um, So I still need to implement a service layer of about half of the functionality implemented so far, my client-server relationship. I'm done all refactor using service layer and add testing logging. Should have started with a three-tier architecture. Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of using his examples to kind of build it off of the like. So, um, I'm really not very happy with his points of unit testing. So, but whatever. Um, because he tries to group it all into like a single failable test, but you know, the problem with that is that if you don't know exactly which test failed, then if you're like doing a black box, you send in information into a black box and it returns back that you failed, and you don't know exactly which value was a failure, then how are you supposed to be able to fix it? So obviously that's not the case when it comes to unit testing, but still, um, I tend to like to try to separate out the tests, but whatever. Getting off track here. So okay, so let's see. Structured query language, domain specific language used in programming and designing, designed for managing data held in a relational database management system for stream processing and relational data. It's particularly useful in handling structured data incorporating relations among entities and variables. Yeah, we really have to make sure that we're like, hitting the books and have this pretty much, in the back of the mind when we get to the one-on-ones again. So, um, let's see. Um, how did he define SQL again? Stru- Unfortunately, he was taking the answers given by everybody in the class, so structured adding or selecting whatever operation we want to do with our table. It's language we use to speak to databases. SQL is not a general purpose programming language. It's a domain specific language. Syntax resembles spoken language to make it easier to understand what is going on. And we're probably going to be needing to know all that for the most part. So let me go ahead and kind of write this all down. Um, uh, so what's going on there? Okay, that's weird. um, let's see. Uh, programming. Wait, what's going on here? Programming language. Um, used to speak with databases. Um, it is a domain specific language. Um, and syntax resembles spoken language to make it easier to understand. Okay. Um, what is a database? A structured collection of data separated out into individual tables containing unique columns for data separation. That's how my mind is picturing it right at this moment in time. I'm gonna assume that's pretty much uh, what is a database. Yeah, okay. We should be good with that. Okay, so DBMS. Hmm. Okay, no real information here. So, DBMS, Database Management System. Software package designed to define, manipulate, retrieve, and manage data in a database. DBMS generally manipulates the data itself, the data format, field names, record structure, and file structure. It also defines rules to validate and manipulate the data. So, um, so in our particular case, seeing that we're using dbeaver, that would be a DBMS. So, um, let's go ahead and write this down. So, um, software package designed to define, manipulate, retrieve, retrieve, and manage data in a database, i.e. dbeaver. Okay. So let's see. You have the database management system, and then you have the uh, relational uh, database management system. Which reminds me, I should probably put this here so that I can remember the acronym is the database management system. And this is the relational database management system. Um, okay, so relational database refers to a database that stores data in structured formats using rows and columns. Okay. Um, is there any kind of question here referring to the relational database? No, there is not. So I'm going to need to kind of put this all together. I could. Um, let's see. Let's go ahead and kind of separate these two out a little bit. What is a relational database? Okay. Um, a database that stores data in a structured format using rows and columns. Yeah, I'm gonna turn on the lights here. It's getting a little dark for me. There we go. Okay. Um, um, Similar to the DBMS, but used for relational databases. There we go. Okay. Multiplicity. Oh. Let's see. Multiplicity. Um, hmm. Not 100% sure on that right at the moment. I need some water. I've been talking quite a bit. 1 second while I wet my whistle. There we go. Pardon me. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so database multiplicity. Specification of the range of allowable cardinal rules. Set may assume. Hmm. Hmm. Feels like I'm not getting the. Oh, Authenticity attribute of a relationship specifies the cardinality or number of instances of an entity type that are associated with the instances of another entity type. The possible types of multiplicity are as follows: one to many, zero or one to one, zero or one to many. Hmm. Let's see. Um, number. Okay. Let's see. See what my note says on multiplicity. Let's see if I can find it again. I really should like take all of his notes that he kind of gave and put it all in one text file so that I can just kind of reference it whenever I want to. Instead of having like, different files that have his different notes. Okay, multiplicity, an attribute defining the cardinality of the database. And, at the time I was like going, okay, what the heck is cardinality? So, what's the definition of cardinality? Relationships between tables one to one, one to many, many to one, and many to many. So, um, okay, so I guess I'm going to need to look up cardinality. Um, let's see. Term cardinality refers to the uniqueness of data values contained in a particular column of a database table. More cardinality, more duplicated items in a column. Okay. Okay, let me go ahead and write this down in my notes here. Um, Cardinality uniqueness uniqueness of data values contained in a particular column. Okay. And now, let's see. Does he have the question of cardinality in here at all? No, he does not. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in. So insert row. What is cardinality? Neatness of data values contained in a particular column, and multiplicity, um, attribute defining the cardinality of the database, um, or defining the uniqueness of data values contained in a particular column. So, uh, so 1 to 1, 1 to many, many to 1, and many to many. All right. Okay, it's 5 o'clock right now. I got about another hour of allocated time for the stream. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is, I know that there's still quite a few questions for me to answer or get through on the database. I know. I'm going to have to kind of cover that in my own time off stream. So for any of you that, you know, if you want to use this for your own personal studying, then obviously you can just kind of pause it and kind of, try to memorize everything that's kind of here, and that will help you if you're ever kind of faced with um, any SQL questions and like. But now what I think I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and switch on over to the Java, and I want to um, go over the, uh, basically deal with, uh, everything there to kind of, um, so that I have it, fresh in my mind when I go in there and he throws out um, if he throws a question that I might have some difficulty in. So, all right. So let me just kind of, well, do I go over some of the questions uh, that kind of stumped me, or do I answer some of the quick questions? Hmm. Let's go over some of the quick questions, saying that I have I have them available and the like. So, um, uh, so what is a method? A method is a function that is contained within a class. Um, and a function is just basically a block of code that you can use to um, change out to allow for um, to be able to like manipulate the data and change out. Um, so function is not contained within a class, but can still modify or it still contains code and basically it does what we want it to do. Handles um, uh, this is where my language skills kind of fail me on this. So uh, uh, run the application. See. Let's see. What is class? Um, let's see. A structured collection of methods that represent the that represents its respective object. What is an object? Um, uh, let's see. Location in memory. Containing methods and variables. Defining what the object is. What are the four pillars of object-oriented programming? Polymorphism, abstraction, inheritance, and encapsulation. Now, unfortunately, they don't have, he didn't like do any, um, I mean, I guess it does here. Let's see, inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, but there's nothing here. I mean, he has his abstraction there, but let me go ahead and say, let me put in the extra question here. What is abstraction? Because that caught me the other day. That was um, you know, trying to define it perfectly for him was what was kind of screwing me up. Um, I knew, you know, uh, I knew the idea of it. I knew the possibilities of it. The trying to actually, speak about what it is, um, I was kind of tripping over my own tongue when it came to it. So, um, but we'll hold on for that for a little bit later. So, can you catch an error? Yes, but you probably shouldn't. It is most likely a hardware issue that is beyond the scope of the application itself. Um, what are the two ways to handle exception? You can catch it, um, which allows you to um, uh, basically allows you to kind of handle the situation, either fix what the problem is, or you can basically say, okay, well, we're getting this particular error. Well, we probably don't really need to deal with this, so we're just going to kind of wash our hands of it. So, um, we try to correct for it. So, um, handle the exception thrown. Um, or you can throw the exception um, up to the superclasses, meaning that um, if you don't want to handle it, then you can try to pass the buck to any of the other um, to any of the calling classes on it, in hopes that they might be able to resolve the issue. Um, Obviously catch would be the better choice out of it all, but um, but at the same time, it depends on uh, what the application does. Okay, um, you know you if you're just kind of coding out the overall structure, and they basically mentioned to you the fact that just throw all exceptions up to the calling class. Okay, don't worry about resolving any kind of exceptions. Then you do what you're told. Because most likely um, the uh, the other developers that are working on the superclasses are going to be basically um, taking in those throws and trying to resolve it accordingly. At least one would think. So, all right. Um, what combination of try blocks can I have? I'm not quite sure exactly what they mean by that. You can have, you know, you can have try catch. You can have try catch. Finally, oh, my music stopped. I need to have it go. All right, here we go. Now there was like there was a question on the quiz about um, uh, can you just have a try without the catch. And from what I know, you cannot have a try without the catch, to my knowledge. But if I remember correctly, I got that particular question wrong. So let's verify this here real quick. So, uh, can you have just the try block in Java? Yes, it is possible to have a try block without a catch block by using a final block. As we know, the final block will always execute even there, always executes even there is an exception occurred in the try block. System.exit, it will execute always. Okay, so you can get away with not having a catch block, but you have to have a final block in order for it to work. Okay. So you can have a try final block. Okay. Um, and that's pretty much all. Obviously, you can have a try catch 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 catch. For as many exceptions as you want to catch. Obviously, if your try block has all the exceptions under it, then obviously you're going to be catching quite a few exceptions. But okay. Um, let's see. Um, String. What is a string? Um, it is an object that contains an array of characters. I need to make sure that I state that strings are immutable, meaning that once you define a string with a specific value, such as like, hey, this string is equal to dog, um, you can't change dog itself. Um, you can say string is equal to dogs, but it will create two different literals on the uh, uh, not on the stack, on the heap. Well, not on. There's a string literal heap that will allow for it to kind of store all those literal string values. So okay. What does keyword new do in Java? Uh, it creates a space on the heap that stores the object in question um, based on the memory needed for allocation. Okay. Can you name three types of constructors? Well, there's the default constructor, which is basically, just um, a constructor that doesn't take in any kind of values. Um, it's just meant to, um, initialize the default values um, of any of the variables that are associated with said class. Um, then you have um, the constructor for that contains all the variables, and I'm blanking on the name right at the moment. Ah, um, I'll look it up. What is third though? What is the third type of constructor? Um, oh gosh, which one am I missing? I don't know. I can't remember. Okay, let's look it up. Okay, so Java, three types of constructor. Default, no R constructor, and parameterize. I'm butchering that word. Parameters. Okay, so um, okay, I messed up on the no R constructors. So uh, default to clarify a little bit more on this. Okay, default you don't have to specify, you don't have to define it. It's something that's already there. Okay, it's just kind of hidden in the background. So if you ever call for, you know, object temp is equal to new object, okay, or or car temp is equal to new car, okay. If you don't actually define a particular constructor or no argument constructor or the parameter constructor, um, then it it has this default constructor, something that's just kind of there. Um, you can't specify any of the values contained in it, and um, it just kind of sets everything to default values. So um, it just initializes everything to default values, and that's it. So um, this is all arrows to default values does not need to be defined. Comes automatically. Okay, so our constructor, um, it is a defined constructor, meaning that you've actually meaning that you literally put public car brackets or parens and then open bracket close bracket in your code directly. Okay, if you didn't have that, then it would go automatically to the default. But if you did and do have it, then you can then add those values directly, or you can initialize the variables to kind of whatever you want. Now, obviously, in the parameter constructor, you can set the values coming in to the constructor to the variables in question. But if you don't have that, then you're just basically setting to the variables to a default value of your own choosing. Um, so if you say want an integer to be 10, you can do that within the no_arg constructor without any problems. So uh, initializes the variables according um, to what the developer wants. Okay, and then of course you have the uh, parameterized constructor that takes in parameters to initialize the variables to those specific parameters. So, all right. Is the default constructor and the no_arg constructor the same thing? No, they are not. Um, because when you create a new R and the no_arg constructor, um, it removes the default constructor completely, um, and you have to initialize the variables yourself at that point. Okay. Um, Now, I mean, you can totally ignore initialization of the variables, and it will most likely, go to the default values anyway. Um, but don't expect to use them right away, you know. So unless you are okay with the default values. If you're expecting to, that your integer should be 10, but you call a function and suddenly it's 0, then well, that's on you. You didn't initialize your arguments properly in the no_arg constructor. So, um, so um, and no, they are not. Default constructor will be removed when a no args constructor is defined. No args constructor um, is where the developer defines the initialization of the variables. All right. What is the first implicit line of any constructor? It is super, um, meaning that it will be calling the calling classes, um, or it will, uh, call the constructor from the uh, class that it's derived from. So, and seeing that all classes are defined by object, if your class is, a direct, um, has a direct lineage to object, then obviously the super class and the super um, uh, call there will go to the object superclass, the object class and the constructor. So what is the difference between super and this? Um, this kind of requires it's a little difficult to try to. Well, I mean, it's a little difficult for me to try to explain because super was referencing um, the derived class, but this is referencing the instance of the object, um, uh, for the class that it's in. So, and I know that I could probably word that a little bit better. So, um, I'm just kind of skipping um, some of the questions that I know that I don't have a perfect definition in my mind. I mean, I could, um, I can try to, but it might not be perfect, and I don't want to, um, I've already gotten kind of hit with the not being perfect, so I want to try to avoid that if I can. So, um, let's see. Uh, what is a constructor? Um, it allows the initialization of variables and objects um, associated with a class. Okay. Uh, what is a bit? Um, let's see. A bit is basically, 0 and 1. It is, what is it? It's a single, um, I gotta be careful here. A single element of memory. Um, I don't think that's correct though. You see what I mean by the fact that I have the idea of what it's all about in my mind, but trying to actually explain it is can be a little difficult for me. I can't get the exact definition right all the time, and that's a problem. Um, a nibble is um, 2 bits, and a byte is four bits. If I remember correctly. So basically, a nibble is half a byte. So okay. We are coming close to the end of my stream here, so it's time to kind of really buckle down on some of the ones that I was having some difficulty with. So we are going to be studying the JVM, JRE, and JK so that I make sure that I have that solid in my mind. Um, I slipped up and made the mistake of saying that the JRE or the JVM did compiling, and yeah. Um, so then we need to work on collections and uh, collection hierarchy. I think a nibble is 4 bits and a byte is 8 bits. You might be right on that. Um, yeah, 8 bits. Okay. I was thinking along the lines of, okay, whenever you look at a like hexadecimal code, for example, you have um, you have a set of 4 bits, and I always thought of that as a full-on byte, but I guess that's more of a nibble, huh? I got overloading and overwriting backwards. Yeah, that's a common one as well. That tends to throw people off. And last thing that I want to do is focus on the being able to, um, you know, state what the 4 pillars of object-oriented language, object-oriented programming, perfectly each time. So, that's what I'm gonna kind of cover in the last 30 minutes here. Um, so what is JVM? That's the Java Virtual Machine. JRE is the Java Runtime Environment. And JDK is the Java Development Kit. So, and obviously he's going to want us to, he wants us to kind of explain what each one of them does. Um, so the JVM um, is basically the assembly language code that allows for Java to be run on any machine that has JVM installed. So it's one of the reasons why you can have it on um, PCs and um, um, Apple computers because it all has the underlying um, you know it it works with the um, uh, it works with the assembly language of that particular um, PC or Apple computer to run the programs that are necessary. Um, the fact that the underlying uh, structure of Java is C, and you know, so for anyone that's kind of wondering, okay, um, the uh, the lowest that you can go when it comes to um, talking with a computer is the machine language. Basically, it's just all zeros and ones. You can literally, I mean, if you really wanted to, you can literally take an application and change it into zeros and ones, okay, and the computer will still run perfectly fine. It will be able to interpret that and run accordingly based off of those zeros and ones. Okay. Do I recommend it? Oh no. Oh hell no. Okay. But you can do it. Just good luck with that. Good luck trying to actually program out anything using zeros and ones that is of any significant size. You know, if you have like millions of lines of code and you want to try to do something very similar to the million lines of code for that application in just machine code language, then you're going to be doing like billions of lines of code. So, so don't think that it's going to be, that simple. Um, the next level above from that is the assembly language. Now, assembly language basically, um, you know, creates like a structured values, structured keywords that um, whenever you call that particular keyword, it will modify the machine language, the zeros and ones, to what you're wanting it to do, to change the values into something that you're kind of looking for. So, um, so that's what the assembly language is all about, and it can be quite difficult if you're not used to it. Um, and then, after that, I mean, there's obviously some other languages that, you know, um, that you can kind of use. Obviously, there's been like, different variety of probably assembly languages to try to, you know, uh, handle um, the memory according to what they want. You know, um, like I would imagine. Again, I don't know for sure, but I would imagine that the um, assembly language for a PC doesn't actually, isn't the same as an assembly language for an Apple computer. I could be wrong on that, but uh, maybe not. Maybe not. But for a long time, they were doing their own um, processor memory management and you know um, graphical hardware um, that you couldn't put like a PC application on it and expected it to run the same way. So um, yeah, let's see. Uh, the next level above that, you have like multiple different languages above that has kind of modified the assembly language over time, but the one that has um, came out and has pretty much dominated for the most part, and it's been that way for decades, is the C language. And that's, obviously it's used by Java. You have the C language that is the background for C++ and C Sharp. Um, and obviously those languages, expand on the object-oriented language, object-oriented programming and the like. So yeah. So um, so JVM is the um, how do I phrase this though? How do I specifically phrase it so that I don't get it wrong next time that I state what is a Java virtual machine? Now I got the acronyms down tight. I don't think I have any problems with that. Um, but I need to make sure that I have the wording correctly. I don't want to mess that up. So um, um, a virtual machine that enables a computer to run Java programs. Hmm. Okay. Is there anything else that comes with that though? I want to make sure that I'm not. I don't want to, cause myself additional problems along those lines. You know, um, I gotta make sure that I know that it is not compiler. So JVM just runs the programs, runs the Java programs. It's just a virtual machine that enables a computer to run programs. Hmm, let's see. Virtual machine that runs Java files in a portable way. Right? It is indeed portable. Here, you know what? Let me look up my notes on this and see. Oh no, wait, this was in. I'm looking at my database notes. That's not correct. Oh well. Yeah, never mind. Okay, so um, Java Virtual Machine, um, virtual um, runtime engine that allows for Java programs to run on said machine. Okay. Now, JRE. This was the one that um, that compiles, but let's make sure that I cover all the bases here. So um, let's see. Uh, let's look at IBM here. Software layer that runs on top of the computer's operating software, system software, and provides class libraries and other resources that a specific Java program needs to run. Right, the libraries. I gotta remember that. That's a key word that I need to make sure that. Let's see. Um, Java runtime environment is what enables a Java program to run in any operating system without modification. Um, Contains all the libraries. Um, and it has the interpreter. So, um, so right, I need to remember that the JRE has the interpreter. That should help me out here because, um, the so interpreter, preprocessor, those all kind of fall under the same kind of umbrella for the most part. Um, Here, hold on. Music, music, music. Okay. Um, so basically, what it does is that it takes the code that you wrote in the JDK, okay, and looks at all the line of code that's there, and it starts kind of breaking it down to, um, it starts breaking it down to, the C language, which then breaks it down to the assembly language, which then breaks it down to the machine language. Okay. Um, so it basically looks at all um, the imports, the classes, the um, the method calls, the class and the class constructors and the like, and it basically breaks it down into, the um, it keeps on bringing it down into lower and lower code. So, but in order to do so, it needs the libraries in order to complete that process. So I gotta remember that. So um, contains the libraries necessary for compiling the code into machine code. All right, Java Development Kit. That is basically any kind of environment whatsoever um, that you can use to um, build build Java. So um, let me bring it up here just so you know everybody can kind of see it. I'm not, you're not, if you're not trusting what I'm saying, which I mean, uh, obviously, take what I say with a grain of salt. Um, you know, we want to make sure that, you know, I'm not, um, I'm not saying anything incorrectly. Okay, if I start saying, anything incorrectly, then I'm going to be, causing hardship for myself. And obviously, it doesn't help you, the viewer, especially if you're kind of curious as to you know, what all this is anyway. So, um, oh boy, it looks like we're going to be running out of time here pretty soon, though. Didn't get to everything that I kind of wanted to do, but that's okay. So, um, JDK is a software package you download in order to create Java-based applications. So, um, it basically contains the Java runtime, uh, Java runtime environment is contained within the JDK. The JVM is not built into the Java development kit. It's something that you have to download separately. You know, uh, it's the interpreter. So, uh, if if it was built all together, then then that's interesting. Um, but the problem is that you know uh, there's gonna be like new updates and the like. So um, you have to kind of be careful with that. So all right, you know, don't forget to update. So okay, so software development environment, uh, which uses the JRE. Okay. Um, uh, what's a good way of saying what a bit is? Um, um, smallest unit of data. Yeah. Um, I gotta remember that. You know. Um, smallest unit of data. That's a good, clear, concise meaning for it. So smallest unit of data. Um, so so bit is a smallest unit of data. Nibble is 4 bits. Byte is 8 bits. Okay. All right. That's where we're gonna go ahead and close on down for tonight, there, folks. That was my study session here. I need to kind of keep on going through this and make sure that everything's kind of solid in my mind for the next one-on-one that we're going to be doing. Uh, but that's where I'm going to have to close on down for the night. So uh, I'll go ahead and go through my normal ending spiel, which is for anyone that is interested. I built up a stream team that is meant to help out everybody that's on the team. It has a pay it forward mindset, pay it forward style of the team. So allows for anyone that wants to join. If even if you're not a streamer, um, you're still welcome because you can still contribute. You can still help out everybody that's on the team. So um, there's multiple different subgroups, um, sub teams in the my team robot, so that um, you know one of the problems that I've seen other teams have is not really supporting their team members as well. Or if they do try to, it's not very efficient. So the idea behind this is that I made some sub teams that um, can for everybody that's on those particular sub teams, if they want to volunteer their time for it, um, it helps out. Um, it helps out the other streamers because they are the ones that are trying to um, promote um, any particular event, for example. Like if I was to suddenly say, hey, we reached our 200 viewer, we're gonna have a celebration. There's people in the team that will go, okay, he's already built up his event, let's promote it. That's the kind of the idea behind it. So and it's supposed to go to everybody on the team. Okay, um, so if you have the same kind of mindset, if you believe in that kind of mission statement in helping everybody out, then feel free to go down to the application link down below on my Twitch about page. Um, Fill out the application, submit it, and I'll review. And if you're in complete alignment with the mission statement, then there shouldn't be any problems. Obviously, if you're someone that just absolutely hates everybody and doesn't care about, uh, doesn't care about another streamer or something like that, then probably not a good fit for the team. So I'll most likely have to reject individuals like that. Um, but um, on the application page is a document to the uh, is a Google document explaining the team. It's a lengthy document, I know, but it's meant to kind of build a solid foundation for anyone that is interested. Um, it's meant to kind of convey all the ideas and the processes that I figured would um, make things go fairly smoothly um, for everybody that's on the team. So um, now, um, so that's down below. I also have a link to my YouTube channel, so that's down below on my Twitch About page. That contains all the streams that I've done, all my past streams organized in playlists. So if you want to see any of my past streams, granted I'm a little behind on uploading, uh, but uh, that's where all of these streams are going. So feel free to kind of check out any of the playlists there. I have multiple different playlists containing like the gameplay that I've done, the coding streams that I've done, as well as the Finish What I Started series. That's all there on my YouTube channel, so feel free to check that out if you like. Give a like or link give a like and subscribe uh, for the videos there. Um, But know that I do have links to my Discord, my Patreon, and my Twitter account down below on my Twitch About page, as well as in the description of my YouTube videos. So feel free to check those out if you like. Um, but I do have a schedule of everything that I do down below, the days that I stream, as well as the times. So if you're curious as to what I do on a particular day and a particular time, that's down below on my Twitch About page as well. So, but that's it. So I want to thank um, uh, Petcat or Jason for stopping on by. I also want to thank Leaky for stopping on by and having that interesting conversation that we had. Um, maybe we'll have another interesting conversation again, but obviously my focus had to be on studying and preparing, so couldn't have that conversation completely. But um, so thank you to both of you for stopping on by. I appreciate it. Hopefully I'll see you both again next time. But that's where we're going to go ahead and close it down for the night. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully I catch you next time. But until then, take care, have a good night, stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll catch you strangers next time.